I think I felt more confident that I could get off than I would if I was in a saddle. Like when Felicity was talking this morning about a bailing, I thought, whoa, I couldn't bail if my life depended on it. But I mean, I did get her to stop. I did that. What you saw was pretty much the whole ride.
Yeah, okay.
I wanted to know that I could get off.
Yeah.
But she stopped. I mean, I didn't think about the getting her in frame or having her head down the way it was or anything. I was just, okay, am I going to be able to stay on her back here? It felt kind of nice, but I don't know under what circumstances. I guess if I'd ridden her, when I've ridden her in the saddle repeatedly and she is relaxed, then I'll probably go back to bareback. I certainly want to do it again. I didn't end up feeling like never wanted to try that again.
Good. No, good. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Yep, give it a go. Why not?
I was excited.
Yeah, I bet you were. Now, your video is great because there's a bunch of stuff that we can address in that. So I'm recording this, if that's all right with you, because I think it's so useful. Yeah. Like there's so much good stuff in there that we can discuss. So that's good. I see Kathy's here. Hello, Kathy. I thought, you must be present. Oh, so I've got to say, I have not seen this horse look this relaxed. So I'm really pleased with that. I think that's great. I think she's responding there well. Like you've asked, and she gives a bit, and that's good. So she's really understanding this. You can really see with this horse when she understands stuff and when she's not really quite sure what you're wanting. And we're going to see a bit of that in these next 6 minutes. And her posture changes. So this is all really nice. I don't know what she feels like in the hand there. And great stop. Yeah. Asked her to stop. She stopped. I'm assuming you said whoa first or something. And that just looked really nice. She just looks focused on you. She looks in the bubble. Maybe, right here when she's standing, she might be going to sleep, but that's, she's fine. Right there, you see, ears go forward, she looks something else, but she's straight back to you. She's straight back to you. She's not round. So that's something that we can work on. That means we've got that still to increase her emotional level a little. Yeah, you see what we're really looking for is her nose to be a little closer to the vertical.
Yeah, okay.
Angle of her profile, yeah. The more it comes in, what happens when you ask her for a little more is that her head will go up and her nose will come in a bit. And so that will put her in more of that round frame. Because right now, it's pretty hard for her in that frame to lift her back. But I'm not that concerned about this because I'm keen, really happy to see this relaxation, really, is what I'm saying. This is what I'm really happy to see is the relaxation. So that's great. Now, I'm going to pause.
Can we just stop for a second?
Yeah.
Because so I'm using that massaging of the thing to bring her head down. So you're saying that her nose would be closer to the vertical if if I wasn't making her put her head down quite so far?
No, I don't think so.
I want this more than this.
Yeah, I think what we're going to have to do is, as we were saying last night, is to move your offside hand further down her neck. Yeah. And your near hand further down the rein, so that she can be more like short reining. Yeah. What I wanted to do is just to start to collect up a little bit more. So she's a bit strung out. And she's relaxed, that's good. Okay. We've got to start with relaxation. You've got that, that's great. Why are we still going? Sorry, I'm going to come back.
Yeah, I just
Bring it back.
kept going.
Okay. Yeah, so that's good. So we're going to think about that. I don't think you're doing anything wrong here. I think her head lowering, I know you think it's this. I don't think that's it. I think she's lowering her head because she's understanding what you're wanting and she's relaxing. Okay, so there's no reason really for her to lower her head with the massage unless she's getting release when she does lower her head, and we can do that in other ways. Yeah, okay. So we can do that in other ways as well. And we can probably really make it clearer as well, because the massaging is a little bit, you're right, you're on, you're right, you're on, you're right, you're on. Like it sounds nice and it probably feels nice, but it's not all that clear to her. Whereas if we can get you in a short reining position, like if you look at those short reining videos, and I think the first ones show you how to set it up with a monkey grip, the rein going through the monkey grip, yeah, then you've got an outside rein. Yeah, and then you have two reins, and that way we're going to be able to draw her closer to the vertical, and it will lift her head a bit. It will lift her head a bit because it's more emotional. Yeah, it's harder work. Right. This is quite easy, but if you put her into trot, she's going to lift her head as well. So that's okay. It's time. Now we know that she can relax, and she can bend perfectly well. Right, she's bending right there. So we know that. Now we can start playing with her emotional level. Okay.
Okay.
We'll move on to the mounting block. Now, first thing I'm going to say is that, that is the most difficult place to put a mounting block that I've ever seen. So
why?
Well, because it's in the middle of the paddock. She's got no help. So you taught her hips to the fence, but you don't actually use it now. You've stopped using that, yeah, and you're now you're teaching her something else, which is walk up to the mounting block and you place her next to it, then you go around and get on it, and then you ask her to walk forward. So it's not hips to the fence. It's a whole different deal. So I think you've got two choices. You can go back and teach her hips to the fence and move the block to the fence. Or we can try and work out how to teach her with the block in the middle. This is much harder. It's much harder because she's got many more choices, and you don't really have a way of controlling each of the feet because you're also not carrying a whip, are you?
No, that was a mistake.
Okay. All right. So I think
I should have, but okay. So ever since whenever that was, a year and a half ago, when I sent you that video of the hips to the fence, I've never had the block at the fence.
Okay. All right. But then you had more control of her left hind.
Yeah, I think the approach was just funny here. Like, okay. Because she does, normally when we come around, then I do have to, at one point I have to tell her to bring her hips.
Yeah, you do, and she doesn't. Really?
And she does it?
Not really. I mean, she's sort of forward, but it's blur. You're holding both reins. And this is where I think she's getting confused. So what I want to do today is show you, just point out why she's confused, where she's confused, and how, by going back and teaching it differently, we can get rid of that confusion. So having the mounting block in the middle of the paddock is the last step of hips to the fence. Okay, so it's the last step. So they learn everything else in the pattern. Excuse me. So the pattern starts with no mounting block, just the fence. Then what they learn just at the fence with no mounting block is to stand. And that's great. And then we take the mounting block and we put it next to the fence. But they already know how to stand when they get to us, because we pat them and praise them and lean on them and kiss them and carry on. So they've already got that step. Then we have the horse saddled up and we start getting half on the horse, at the mounting block, at the fence. Because we've still got all those fallbacks. If the horse makes a mistake, we've still got what we really, hips to the fence, mounting block. It's all about controlling that left hind, being able to move that left hind to the left. That's it. You don't want to worry about any of the other feet. If you can move the left hind to the left, you should be set. And going backwards, walking backwards, never comes into this whole pattern. I was never asked to walk backwards. So you remember back to the first hips to the fence lessons that we did at the fence without mounting block. You ask the horse to move its hips towards you, and then you walk forward. You ask the horse to move its hips, then you walk forward. So the whole lesson is all about going forward. The horse never takes a step back. So that never comes in as a possible response to the cue, move your hips to the left. That's why that side pass is important. If the horse feels blocked up, the horse feels a bit, locked in next to the fence there, sometimes they do, then I say, okay, well, that's okay. We can still walk forward and you can move your hips. And say, oh, okay, I'm still walking forward. I'm moving my hips. That's fine. But if they block up and you don't let them do that, then they're likely to go backwards. So, backwards is an evasion because they're confused, So by not ever allowing them that opportunity or not introducing that, it makes the pattern easier for them to learn, and it stops them trialing that particular answer. So it's going to be my recommendation is to go back to the fence without the block, and then introduce the block, and then just do the whole thing like that without actually getting
Have I frozen? Oh,
Yeah, you have.
I've lost you, Kate.
Move around.
Yeah.
Can you hear us or not?
Oh
No, you're back.
I lost you. You know what? I'm just gonna move.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'll get closer to the router.
Yep. Are you working from home, Kathy?
Yes. At the moment, I'm doing a little bit this morning, and then I'll hopefully go for a ride after that, which will be nice.
Oh, good.
It's looking like the sun's shining. We had a little bit of rain yesterday, which was nice. Did you get
it?
9 mils.
Yeah, we had a sprinkle. Not much. Yeah.
It's starting to dry out again.
It is. It really is, isn't it? Okay. Good. All right. So as I was saying, my advice is going to be to go right back to the mounting block, hips to the fence without the mounting block. Really get control of that left hind. Make the lesson very forward, 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 and keep your forward cue is tap her on the hind quarter with the whip to go forward, and then introduce a mounting block next to the fence, and then slowly move that away from the fence. Not very far. Not very far. You want to move it a metre away from the fence will do for starters, and then, work out from there. It's a progressive thing. So I want to just go through this because just to show you how it's different from what you've done before, and therefore confusing for her, right? You can see anyway, she's got a ton of options because she's out here in the middle, so she can go anywhere she wants, really. So you're up here. Now this is a disadvantage for you because you're not that stable on the block. Like you can't jump on, you're very high now. You can't jump off the block if you have to, if she makes a mistake. You haven't got the whip. So it's really hard to cue her to go forward. This might be your cue to go forward, but I don't think she knows that. So you can see, she's sort of thinking about it. She's thinking, maybe. Now she just burst the bubble. She's looking at something closer to the house. So for me, it's just a bit blurred. If you want that banging on a crest to go forward, you need to teach that as a separate lesson. It's a cue. If you know,
did.
yeah, you did on the ground with you standing on the ground. Okay, all right. Okay, well, maybe that's quite helpful. She's not very obedient to it, so that suggests that she doesn't quite understand it. Okay, so this is better. You've got to hear, and that was good.
But then she goes right back.
Yeah, then she goes right back. But this, then you asked her to move her hips. Do this. Yeah. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Yay. Yeah. You asked her to move her hip by clicking at them, and she did. Yeah. So she gets that. She gets that. So that is really good news. Now, right here, you lose it because you're still asking her, but she's ignoring it. Now you've got both reins in your hands, and you only really want a left rein. So this is really blur cue. You're higher than her. This is your presence is pushing her backwards here. And you're pointing to where you wanted to go. Now, they're pretty sure dogs can do that, but there's no evidence that horses can understand
Horses
that.
can't.
No.
Horses don't understand when you point where you want them to go. Oh, okay.
There's no indication as yet that they do. It's quite a sophisticated thing. Somebody's driving in my drive. So here you've got two reins. You're pulling it forward. You know what's going on here. It's
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to pull. I'm trying just to stay, like to.
Yeah, but it's really
give, but not
okay.
pull either.
But it's really confusing, isn't it? Yeah. So we want that all to go wrong when you're not standing on the block, when you're on the ground, when you've got one rein, when you've got your whip. And you can say, I'm just talking to your left hind, because at the moment you're talking to all of the feet. Yeah. Okay. So let's focus on that left hind and just take some of those choices away from her. Like, it's impossible at the fence for her to go that far away, because you're going to be right there and say, oh no, hang on, I've still got your left rein, I've got my whip, and I've been asking you to move your left hind to me. You better do it now, horse. And you're going to be much clearer on what you're asking. So I think that's our way forward.
Okay, I'm getting lost. I'm losing the plot here because she always brings her hips to me, but she's never far enough forward.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't have, she always respond, well, except for that time when she was really clearly going to leave. She didn't respond there, but for the most part, she doesn't seem to have trouble understanding the bringing the hips. But I don't know if I'm making her do it in the wrong place or.
No, I think she's just.
What?
I think the thing about teaching it as hips to the fence, she does get that. She's just added a step backwards. Yeah, she's added that to your sequence because it makes it difficult. So she gets a rest at the mounting block if you can't get on. And so that's all that's happened. I mean, I really do think. I mean, she's only stepping back one step, so it makes it difficult for you to get on, right? The thing about just focusing on that one left hind is that it's also forward movement. So it's not just step to the left, it's step forward. That's why the hips to the fence lesson is all forward. The horse is always walking forward. So when you go to do that at the mounting block, if the horse still isn't forward enough, you can still use that cue. If it's already at the fence, then it has no other place to go but forward.
Oh, okay. So keep cueing to as if you want their hips further so that they go forward.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good way of doing it. your problem is, you know, you've got the crate there, and then there's a possibility she's going to stand on the crate. So it's not, you know, it's a sort of difficult situation. That's why until it's solid, you want to go back to the fence, so that it's so much, excuse me, safer. And turn your mounting block around at the fence so that you do the whole thing. The first you introduce the mounting block, you're only on the bottom step. And then you go up to the next step. Maybe put it like next to the fence so that, you know, it looks like it's stepping so you can stand on the fence sort of thing. So it's sideways rather than frontways. You see, now it's frontways. I would say now it's frontways to the horse. Have it sideways to the horse so that you can do it from the bottom step and you can get down really easily. You want to be able to, get it to come to the fence, stand, and then you walk around the back of her and lead her off forward to the right. That's the pattern. The pattern starts, you get to the fence, you walk her straight into the fence with the nose, and then you turn around, you hold only the left rein, you ask her hips to come to the fence, you praise her for doing that, and then you walk, you drop the rein, you walk around the back of her, you pick up the right rein, and you ask her to walk a circle around to the right. And you keep repeating that process until that's really solid. And you get the mounting block next to the fence, and you do the same thing with the with you standing on the first step, or even do it without you standing on the block at all. Just have the block there. It's a nice block so that if she does step on it, nothing much is going to go wrong. Like if she comes too far around and steps on the mounting block, or bangs it or something, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, much better than a milk crate or something. I've seen horses get feet in milk crates, and that can be disastrous. So, you know, do it from the first step. But again, don't get on. Just praise her, lean on her, do whatever. It's all about standing still. This lesson is all about, you don't have to do anything when you get to the mounting block. And I'm going to be your best friend at the mounting block. And then I'm going to get off the mounting block. I'm going to walk around the back of you, and you're going to walk forward to the right. And that becomes the pattern. Because at the moment, the pattern for her is still, I get to the mounting block, she gets on. Okay. So it's not yet an automatic behavior. It becomes an automatic behavior when the horse is happy with the pattern and learns the pattern. That's why we teach the pattern to be a really pleasant experience. It's like trailer loading. You know, you get the horse on, you get the horse off. You don't drive anywhere. You don't get the horse on and drive somewhere and 100 miles an hour and give it a terrible time. You get that loading as an automatic response. What do I do when I see the back of the trailer open? Oh, I get on. You know, what do I see when I see Susan standing on the mountain block? Oh, I go and stand there next to her. So we need to separate the two things. You know, and she might have a bad experience a long time ago about getting on. So we need to take that out of the equation. But I'm not saying don't ever get on her. You're going to have someone get on her. But when you're training this, just think of it just as the standing at the mounting block. Even if you do it after you ride, or if you do it, you know, whenever you do it, just think of it, okay, this is training time. I'm not going to get on. This is just, I want you to understand this is what we do at the mounting block. And let's try and get that really solid in her head. It's like, what you want is, you know, she'll see the mounting block, you know, you'll have her, she'll be lagging along behind you, you're holding one rein, you step up on the mounting block, she swings the hips around to you, you get on when you're good and ready, sort yourself out, and then ask her to walk forward. So we're teaching her all of those things. The cue becomes, rider stands on the block, and then nothing else happens until you very clearly cue her to walk to the right, to step right. And there's got to be a verbal cue and a rein cue at least to step right. And so we can do that from the ground. We'll get off the block, walk behind her, pick up the rein, cue her to step forward and to the right. And that is the end of the pattern. The pattern needs a beginning and an end, and that's That's what's missing here, I think. And this is why this is a great lesson. This is such a great video, because, you know, we forget that they're learning all the time. And so, you know, every time this sort of thing happens, then, you know, we've got to deal with another problem. We've got to keep that pattern as much as we can. Teach that pattern till it's automatic, and then always use that pattern. So the first time she stepped back, you'd be better off going back to the pattern and back to sort of retraining that. But good, really good, really good. I'm so pleased to see her so much more relaxed. I mean, she looks like a different horse from this year to last year. And yeah, that's great. That's great. And she has that. What I loved is this, the moment you click at your fingers, she swung around. Yeah, she's got it. She's.
Do you remember when you did it at the demo?
Yeah.
Thank you.
She right away just thump.
Yeah. I know this.
No, well, that's the problem, because she seems to have that part.
Yeah.
But then she always steps back, and that's why the block is where it is, because I need it to be higher. Like, remember this week we've been discussing about that I think I throw her so badly off balance that she doesn't want to be at the block. She knows what she's supposed to do, but I don't think she's just trying to get a break. Well, she's trying to get a break, but the break is from being thrown so off balance. And so I needed to raise it enough that I could get on. I still don't know whether I can get on with the saddle, because I'll have to get my leg over the cantle, but this is, you know, and so I still want to keep that piece. I'm not disagreeing with anything you've said, but I want to, I need the block to be higher, because I want to be able to get on without freaking her out.
Yeah, okay. So I think when you introduce the block at the fence, just have it the way you want it, with your, you know, platform underneath it. Platform underneath it, and have that platform through the other side of the fence. I mean, I'm just picturing where the fence that I was using, but
at the front,
yeah. So if you have the platform mostly away, and then have
Frozen, Kate.
yeah, probably have the block at the back. I'm just thinking where it would be best to put the mounting block on the block. So if you push the crate under the fence, and then I would have it the opposite way around. So I would have most of the crate where there's no block on it at the front. So when you step off the last step, you step onto the ground, not onto the crate. You see what I mean?
But then isn't it in her way? How is she going to get close?
Well, this is the second step from hips to the fence. So she knows hips to the fence, then there's a block there. So she's not going to be able to step on that. That's fine. That's fine. I think that'll be easier, and she'll be less likely then to put her whole. See, what happens sometimes is they put their whole body over the block. Yeah, but I don't want you stepping down off the thing onto the crate. I think you're better off having the last step at the beginning of the crate, so her front feet are close to the crate where the block is not. God, that's easy to explain, isn't it? I may need a diagram, but yeah, I just,
you may not.
Oh, you could
So
have
what
it
it's
in the middle.
Is where
Perspective may not show how big that pallet really is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's as at least as much what you can currently see to the left of the block, there's at least that same amount back behind the block.
Yeah.
Can we take a chainsaw to the pallet?
Uh, I don't think so.
Why not?
Then, well, because it's only caught, I mean, I guess I could take,
It's got a center
yes,
divider, I reckon.
it does have one center pull, yeah.
Yeah.
I could
That's a
cut
thought.
it, yep.
If you even get, you know, you could even attach it to the bottom of your mounting block. Might make it a bit heavy. Anyway, yeah, it's just something to be aware of. We don't want her standing on the pallet.
No, no. And she didn't try to.
No, no, I'm sure she wouldn't. Mm. Yeah, but you know, if it's better where she can see it. If there's some pallet to be stood on, it's better where she can see it. So up near her head, because her front feet are much less likely to step on it than her back feet. Yeah, and she's bringing her back feet to you. So I don't want the pallet there where she might swing her hips around and step on it by accident if there's some spare behind you. Okay.
Right. Okay.
She won't step on it with her front. Yeah, but that's the second phase, because the first phase is we've got to reinforce this whole hips to the fence lesson without the mounting block there, yeah? And you can start even, you know, you're better off doing it first without the mounting block, then with just the mounting block and no pallet, yeah? Because you're not getting on, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
All that praise, you rest, get it to rest for a minute. You know, you can even, you know, if you can do the licorice thing, you can even get it to move around. Then when you get around to the right, before you lead her off, give her a bit of licorice. Or when you lead her off, give her a bit of licorice, you know. We could introduce that as well and make it a whole thing. And she's got to just know. And that makes the mounting block a great place to be.
Right.
Okay, with that,
great. Thank you.
Good.
with that going backwards bit, sometimes mine are all reasonably good at hips to the fence now, but sometimes Wilbur just has a brain fade, and you'll be tapping him on the hip and he'll lift the leg and then he'll do the kick out with the leg. I just keep tapping until he realizes that he's got to step across. Once he steps across, I stop.
Yeah.
Occasionally he just goes, no, this is all too hard, and starts going backwards. So if you're tapping him on the hip, how do you suggest you change the cue to forward quickly and effectively when you first start to get the backwards? Does that make sense?
Yeah, backwards is a problem, because unless you can jump off and correct that problem, you're pretty quickly chasing them backwards.
Yeah.
Just from the fact that you're standing up higher than them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's something you've really got to, you know, when they're going to step backwards. You've got to be more in tune with what they're thinking and where their feet are going. So focus on that one foot. Now, this is what happens if you're not focused on the one foot. It's very hard to be able to see really where the horse is thinking it's going to go next. So but if you're just focused on where you want that one foot to be, you've got forward, back, left and right all in one. Yeah, you don't have to think, I want the hip to come to me, and I don't want the horse to go backwards, and the horse doesn't have to go forward. Everything is done with one foot. So it's much less confusing for us, and I think we can make it much clearer to the horse. So if he's doing that and taking that one step back, again, I would go back and redo the pattern, reteach the lesson, yeah, and just get that in isolation without getting on him, because it's the most important part of the ride, you know, and it's the most overlooked part of the ride too. It's the most dangerous part of the ride as well. You know, we know all these things, and yet we still get on because, you know, a lot of people, kids get on and the horses trotting off down the field, you know. It's a pretty basic thing. The horse stands at the mounting block to be mounted. I got myself a round mounting ball, which I've got to say I love, except it breeds redback spiders. But that's a classic, because if you do put it out in the middle of the paddock like this, and the horse walks forwards or backwards or absolutely anywhere, it's like, okay, I don't care. I just walk around with you, and we just sway. And it's
Yeah,
low
I've got
enough.
one like that too. I think I scored it in the floods. It washed down the river, and we found it in a tree.
Oh, nice.
Good. That's
We
good.
did really well, because there's no way they're worth a fortune, those
Yeah,
plastic round ones. So we scored.
oh, good.
So if I'm tapping him on the hip, and I think it's just an evasion technique, because 9 times out of 10 he does it perfectly. It's
So there's a couple of things you can do. You can change your cue for the hindquarter movement, and that would be my choice.
yeah,
So reteach hips to the fence, but tap him on the gaskin
okay.
instead. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just by lowering that cue, it makes it really clear.
And then if he starts going backwards, you can raise it and tap
You
him.
go back to the hip, because that's always your go forward cue.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I do that. I change it like that with horses that have learned to swing their hips away from the trailer gate.
Yeah.
And I bring it down low, because I need go forward and I need hindquarters at the same time. So yeah,
Often I don't even need to tap now. With the other two, I use the word hip. I was going hip, hip, hip. And it's a great party trick. It impresses
it impresses everybody, yeah.
But yeah, for some reason with him, generally he's good, and then just sometimes he just has a brain fade.
Yeah. So one of the things to check, the side passing thing is a great party trick, but it's also a really good check to see how much control of that hind leg you have.
Yeah.
So, practice your side passing at the fence. You know you can move the shoulder. The rein will move the shoulder towards you. You're walking backwards, and your finger clicking, or the whip, wherever your cue is, will move the hindquarter. And so move the shoulder a step, move the hindquarter a step, move the shoulder, move the hindquarter. And that's a really good way of playing, and just making sure that you have control of both those feet, and you can put them together like that. Then take that away from the fence. Do it first at the fence, then take it away from the fence. The reason is that why it's so much harder to do it away from the fence is the horse has now 360 choices.
Yeah.
Because it can go anywhere. So you've got to get it solid first. You've got to teach that horse, this is the pattern, and this is all you have to do, and it's really easy. And when you do it, I am just going to kiss you to bits. And it's great fun, and we're loving it. Yeah. So rather than trying to teach it out in the middle, where it is really difficult, the horse keeps getting it wrong. They keep making mistakes. It's actually really hard. And then they just think, oh, the whole thing's too hard, to be honest. So yeah, it's all about making it easy for the horse and making it fun for the horse, which makes it fun for us and easy.
I'll try that. I'll move it down and tap on his gasket and see how we go.
Yeah.
Because he's got it. It's just occasionally it's just,
Yeah. And it's a great thing.
Fade and go backward.
It's a great thing to reinforce, because it changes everything. It changes the way you look at your horse, because you think, oh wow, they're actually really smart, and they're listening and they're engaged. It certainly changes the first minute of your ride, which is hugely important. I'm like you, Susan. I get on, I just have to adjust everything. I have to adjust my trousers, and I have to get my stirrups, and maybe that one wasn't right. Maybe I need to check my girth, all this stuff. I want him walking off. God, don't walk off. So, I have a lot of little lessons with educationally young horses where I don't take a step for a few minutes, and then when I do, I might take 3 steps out into the middle and say, great ride, fantastic, I'm getting off, that's it, we're done. And the horse goes, what was that? There's a lot of these horses, depending on their history, a lot of them have been through, trainers or people that think that miles under the belt. The wet saddle cloth days are what you need. And so when that rider gets on, they're like, oh my
They're
God.
out of, yeah.
Yeah, another 27 hours of cantering in circles or whatever it is, you know. It's just not that unusual for people even today to believe that that's a good plan to sort of work these horses into submission. And so once we start actually getting rid of that mentality and engaging their brains, they switch on, like I reckon Dee has. You know, it's so nice to see this horse relaxed. I think she had that mentality before. And I think it was quite scary for her, you know, what happens when she actually gets on. But if we can keep breaking it down like this for her and say, hey, you know, can you relax walking around doing give to the vet? And she goes, brilliant. If you can relax walking around and doing give to the vet and have your head closer to the vertical. And she's going, oh, I think I can. Yeah, it's great.
She's lovely, Susan. She's such a flashy little horse.
Oh, she's beautiful. Yeah.
How tall is she?
Yeah, isn't she gorgeous?
How
She's just
tall is she?
14.3.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful size.
14, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. She's and that block is now 25 inches high when it's on that, and so that gets me over her. It still wasn't easy, but it was certainly doable. Some of the not easy was just being scared, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought the block was plenty tall, but when Felicity sent me the measurements of hers, then I thought, because I thought, I don't think her legs are any longer than mine, and they're not much shorter. And how come she can get on from her 3-step on a 14.3 horse, and I can't even think about getting on from a 3-step? So now it's the same height as hers. It makes a bit more sense of being able to get on. And I think she was a bit stunned. I was a bit stunned, but.
No, it was good.
Anyway, yeah, she's beautiful, and I think she's looking more beautiful because I think she is starting to not be quite so strung out all the time. She is still a bit. That was one of the things why I wanted to take the video of me walking with her like that, because I thought, yeah, her head's still sticking out. I mean, it's lower, which is nicer for me.
Yeah, it is. And that's good. That's the way to do it, because you've got to start with relaxation. So we get the relaxation, now we start working on performance. What happens a lot of the time is people want the performance, which is the head closer to vertical, before they've got the relaxation, and it's back to front. And it makes everything a struggle. If we can start with the horse relaxed and wanting to engage with you, we can say, okay, you can do that little bit. Let's add this.
Was that your intention to get on, or was it just, yep, this is going okay, she's standing here, let's throw a leg over?
I had put my helmet on in case that might happen. I wasn't 100% sure. I just thought, I'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
And then once she got standing there and I could see, because that was the first time I'd actually, like before on Sunday, I had the two of us out in the paddock, but the block wasn't on the pallet. And so I thought I would just see what Felicity was even talking about, you getting on without having to put a foot in the stirrup. Oh, how am I going to do that? So anyway, it was sort of my intention. Once I got up there, I thought, okay, now what did you have planned next, Susan? Because I wasn't, and I noticed my legs are tucked way up. I need to just drop them
you need to relax that. You need to be aware, not all horses have been ridden bareback before, and a lot of horses respond quite differently to that feeling. It's a very different feeling for them. So just do be aware of that. And also, as soon as you go forward, your legs will come up at the back. Your lower leg will come up, and that can cue the horse. That can do a lot of different things. So you know, bareback riding is something that you need to actually teach the horse about. You know, you need to be quite careful with it. I know a lot of people do it when they first get on the horse. You know what? I want the first riding experiences of my horses to be really good for them and for me. And I can't ride a buck in a saddle, never mind without a saddle. So I'm not interested in trying that myself. So I always have a saddle on the horse when I first get on, and I actually always have a saddle on the horse unless I decide to ride it bareback, in which case I do take it very carefully. You know, I do make sure that the horse, yes, this is going to be a very different feeling, because one of the biggest differences in that feeling is we feel insecure. So we change what we do with our legs, and the first thing we do is we grip with them because we want to stay stable, and that to the horse has always meant go forward. And so now we're saying, no, we're going to grip with our legs, but we don't actually want you going forward. That's confusing. So in order for the horse not to be confused, we just need to be aware of that. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Bareback pads are a great. Bareback pads are a great transition.
Okay, I do have one of those.
Do you? Yeah, because you know, they've got a girth, and so that gives you that bit more stability, and it allows you to relax a bit more. Probably not so much in a hairy winter coat, but certainly when the summer comes and she's shiny and sleek, you be sliding around too much. That will help enormously. And so if you want to teach a bareback, I'd definitely start with the bareback pad.
Yeah, I don't know how much I care about that. I do want her to experience me mounting as being a little less unpleasant.
Yeah.
And I think that was less unpleasant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I wasn't.
Yeah, and it's a problem with these really mutton withered horses, these really round barreled horses, that it's hard for saddles to fit. If you can actually put your leg over without putting your foot in the stirrup, I mean, it's an amazing help for them. Yeah, makes it so much. It means you don't have to then adjust the saddle when you get on, which is again scraping the saddle over the horse. It's not. Love your bird, Narelle.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Very cute. Yeah, so it's a good aim. It's a very good aim. Yeah. And hopefully you'll be able to get back to your physiotherapist soon, make it the whole mounting experience easier for yourself as well.
Right. But I think I still, yeah. Okay, yeah, it's true. That might help. Yeah. Yeah. Just one thing I want to clarify, when you were talking with Kathy about practicing side passing, did you say you're walking backwards?
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm looking at the horse. So I'm in the same position as I was when I'm teaching Give to the Bit. My focus is on the horse when I'm side passing, on the shoulder and the hind quarter. Yeah, so I just back up down the fence line to start. And the left hand and the left rein is controlling the left shoulder. And so I'm just moving the shoulder as I walk backwards. The shoulder comes with me because I'm holding about this close to the bit. And then I tap or raise my hand and signal the hindquarters to move at the same time.
Okay, yeah. Okay, good. I was doing it the other way around.
Which way around?
Well, when I learned, we were talking about it recently at a meeting, when I learned in a natural horsemanship kind of thing, and I'm just using my stick this way, but I'm walking towards her and
you're moving the horse away from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's a different thing, and a lot of people look at me the way I teach hips to the fence and side pass, and they say, oh, it's wrong because the horse is moving into the pressure. It's not wrong. Right. It's not wrong. It's it's the horse is responding to a really clear signal that I've taught it. And I think it shows that it doesn't actually matter what your signal is. as long as you've made it really clear to the horse. So the same horse,
Right.
you could teach that move away from me as well. As long as you made your signal slightly different, like Kathy's moving her, you know, hip one down to the gaskin, that sort of thing, make it slightly different. You could move that foot in any direction. Yeah, I think it's just a matter of us being clear in our head before we start teaching the lesson. That's the biggest thing with the hips defense. And you watch people trying to get their horse to stand at the mounting block, and mostly they go around the other side of the horse and they push it to the mounting block, and then they trot around, get on the mounting block, and the horse moves away again. Get off, trot around, push the horse back to the mounting block, and the whole process goes on. And others who have done some sort of hip defense are busy reaching over the horse to try and tap the right-hand side of the hip. Yeah, yes. I mean, that's just hard. That's a recipe for falling off the mounting block if I've ever known one. Yeah. And completely unnecessary if you just make this new signal clear. That's all. That's an old signal. The horse has learned to move away from the whip. That's fine. That's one signal. This is a new one, horse. Let's learn this. And the horse go, okay, why not? Make it a can-do kind of horse.
Well, that's great. Thank you. Yeah.
Good.
I just have to let I'll be right back, but she's going crazy here, so I'll be right back.
Okay.